Hey VC, what's up? Erik the Viking back again. Yeah, I thought it's time to talk about Krautrock. Quite a debate as to whether we should actually call it Krautrock. I know a lot of the German bands didn't really like it, yet Faust did this song which you hear in the background, which is called Krautrock. So I think some of them welcomed it, some of them didn't. Now, I don't have an awful lot of that stuff. I'm massively into it. I love a lot of German bands from the 70s. I just don't have a lot of the stuff because it is so hard to find. I mainly only go for first pressings, so I'll show you what I have. So, I'm constantly buying stuff at the moment, so there will be, I'm looking for more stuff, like I haven't got any Guru albums, I don't have any Embryo albums, things like that, anything on the ear label I don't have. They're just hard to find. So I thought I'd seeing as I haven't got that much to show, I might as well do a bit of talking too. I first got into Krautrock, I suppose mainly I'd heard of Krautrock, as most people had. I remember being a kid and watching Sounds of the 70s, which was a BBC show where they showed clips of old shows from the 70s, like, all music clips, and they showed a clip of Krautrock doing Autobahn, and I was just like, these guys are crazy, all the drum machines and everything, and that always stuck with me, And then, in college, I heard about Can. I think I'd been reading about Can and Faust. I always read Mojo magazine because my dad always bought it, so that was a good way of hearing about things. So I'd always read about Can and Faust, and I think the first Can album I heard was Future Days. I was like, okay, this is pretty chilled out, I didn't know what to think. I thought, is it all this stuff like this, and then I heard Tego Mago, and I was like, oh, okay. And after that I heard Yeti by Amon Duul II, sorry. Another one of my favourites, which I don't own on vinyl, sadly. I heard that, and then I started getting into Faust, and it all went from there, really. So I'll show you what I've got. So, I've got the bands in alphabetical order here. It's just albums. I've got the worrying feeling I'm forgetting an artist here. It's really bad. I'll do this anyway. Amon Duul II. I have a 70s English pressing, it's not the first pressing, of Phallus Dei, which is German for God's cock, or God's penis. Quite a title in itself, when you think about it. This is the pressing on the Sunset label, which came out in about 75. Actually still quite easy to get, even now. The first pressing on Liberty that came out over here was in a proper psychedelic sleeve, nothing like this. This is still a pretty cool sleeve, but the original was like this massive sort of psychedelic bubble type thing, from what I remember. Blue and yellow, I think it is. I mean, that's worth like 500 quid, I'd love to say I have it, but I don't. But it's on a nice label, with a similar design to the Liberty label, just different colours. So this was Liberty's budget label in England, Sunset. And this is mint, so this is still nice. This is the first Amon Duul II album, which is great. It's a really good album. Just what you would expect from Amon Duul II. I'm not going to go too much about the story into these guys, because I'm sure if you're watching this, you're into Krautrock anyway. Not my favourite album. My favourite album of theirs is without a doubt Yeti, but as I've said, I don't own that, so that's that. The only other Amon Duul II album I do own is a nice original Dance of the Lemmings, which is a close follow-up to Yeti, I'd say, in terms of quality. As you can see, it's a bit creased, but this is still... This cover used to scare me as a kid. I remember seeing this in the Horses. It used to freak me out. It just looks like some bad trip. I think they used to get these... The way they used to... look at that. That's a goat skull. They used to make these covers, like these ones here. They used to just project stuff on the walls and take photos. It's trippy as hell, man, and the inside's just as mental. So this is a first English pressing on the excellent United Artists label. Liberty and United Artists dealt with a lot of the Krautrock stuff over here and in Germany. I think it's because that was a really big label in Germany, and they had their own label over here too. I mean, yeah, this is really hard to find. I mean, I got this really cheap, and it's a nice copy. The sleeve's a bit tatty, but the records are mint, and I've had this for years now. But it's great actually, because you know what? This is what I love about old records. Of course, is whoever owned this originally has written little notes here, and one of them is $1 a day keeps the father away. Because the way this album is laid out is all the tracks are like medleys, you know. Everything seeds in. It's quite like that on some of Yeti as well. And on one of the tracks, I think, yeah, H.G. Wells' Takeoff, which is part of the side 2 medley, the full title of which is Restless Skylight Transistor Child. Oh, it's just insane. Anyway, on that track, H.G. Wells' Takeoff, the vocals are by a guy called Rolf Zacher, who was only on that track, must have just been a friend of theirs. Anyway, the person that had this record wrote here, Rolf Zacher ought to be committed to an institution. We're obviously quite touched by his vocals. They are quite out there. Yeah, this album's brilliant. If you want to get into Amon Duul II, either check this out first or Yeti. No, check Yeti out first, then this. That's how I got into them. So that's all the Amon Duul II I have. Next, one of my favourite bands ever. I absolutely worship at the altar of these guys. Of course, Can. Now I first heard Can, like I said, I heard Future Days, and then I heard Tega Omega, and then I heard this, Monster Movie, which was their first released album at the time, which was actually credited to The Can. Now this was before Damo Suzuki drum, and they had Malcolm Mooney on vocals. You can't actually really see him there, but he was a sort of beat poet type. After this album was made in '69, it was recorded at a castle that they rented called Schloss Norvenich, if I'm saying it right. They tried drafting him into Vietnam, and I think he went into hiding for a little while. And apparently he had a nervous breakdown. Anyway, that aside, I've been after. It took me a long time to find one of these, and this is a mint first UK pressing. Very rare. In Germany it was on the Liberty label. This is the United Artists pressing. On the very first, it was rumoured people were saying for a while they weren't even sure if this existed, and then one of these on this label turned up on eBay and went for an astronomical sum, as it does on eBay. And then I picked this up in a record shop for 20 quid, and it is definitely an original. There's no doubt about it. You can just tell. If you want to get really technical, you can look at the stamped matrix numbers and all that shit. And it's laminated as well. The back isn't, but the front is. And I did actually, before I got this, I had the later pressing from '71, which is on the Cream label. And once I got this, I sold that. So that both pressings exist. If you want to get really, some people say that shit's boring, but you know, I'm quite fussy with first pressings and that. Anyway, a very good place to start for Can. It's like early punk. There's only 4 tracks. You Do Right, the last track, is 21 minutes long, which apparently evolved out of a jam session that they had going on, which was going on for. They just used to record everything, and apparently this jam session they were doing went on for about 20 hours. Whether that was true or not, I have no idea. But there you go, Can. I've got the next Can album, Soundtracks. This is the first English pressing with a different sleeve. I think this was pressed over here in '73. You know that because it's got 73 there. Pardon my dirty fingernails. This was the first English release. Again, this is very rare. I'd say it's rarer than the Liberty German one, and it's got a different sleeve. And this image also crops up on the back of Ijman Yassi, the same image. This is a clip actually taken from a film of a concert that they did that is on the Can DVD called the Live Free Concert. Awesome. And some of the beautiful United Artists. And this is a great album, and of course it's called Soundtracks. They didn't count this as a proper album because each track is done for a different German independent film. And this is the first album with Damo on it. Malcolm Mooney's on 2 tracks. The Insane Soul Desert, where it does actually sound like he's going through his breakdown when that was recorded. And Mother Sky, which is just incredible. Mother Sky is a good place to start with Can, if any. My brother, I've got 2 brothers. My youngest brother, who I'm in a band with, is into pretty much the same music as me. He's very much into Can, but my other brother, Kirk, he's not so much into Can, and he loves Mother Sky, so that says it all, really. It's 15 minutes of mayhem. Next up, Tego Mago, which is just incredible. This is the first English pressing, and the different sleeve designs, the German one, which is in a quirky little... Got to be really careful with this. You can see this is quite tatty anyway. And a sort of envelope design, which is sort of folded out like that. Interestingly, this already came with these. It's got Vertigo inner sleeves, and someone's written all the titles on it. This is the first pressing, which I had for years. I think I got this when I was still in high school. I think I got it quite cheap at the time, but even now, finding one of these, no chance. Well, there is a chance if you want to pay a lot of money, but in good condition, very tough. And I would like to get a nice one because the edges are scuffed, and that sort of thing really bugs me when they're sitting on the shelf and I can't read the spines. But the vinyls are mint, and this is probably my favourite Can album. That and Monster Movie, I think. Because it's just incredible. Because you've got Mushroom and Oh Yeah, which are insane. I don't want to. I know I keep saying sort of things are insane, but this album really is insane. It's great, and it's great, of course. And I think again that is from that same concert. I'd highly recommend that to anyone, even if you don't. Just listen to it. Next up, Each Mamiasi, which has got the classic Vitamin C drum break on it, which is why this album is so popular with DJs. Again, this is the first English pressing. These are all English pressings, and I'm pleased to say I also have the printed inner sleeve with it. Actually, this is odd because this is called an English pressing, but it's actually the vinyl was actually made in Germany, and you can see on the label it says manufactured in Germany. But these were the only, so it's actually a German pressing. Excuse me, with English labels and an English sleeve. There is no English pressing. I don't know why. It may be something to do with was the vinyl shortage around that time? Could be. But yeah, so this has got the nice inner sleeve with it as well. I mean, people just go crazy for Can, and DJs as well love Can because the beats are so good. If you listen to Vitamin C, you can see why. Yeah. And this is I've only just got this recently. I'd say this is the rarest Can album, Future Days, because it's taken me so long to find a copy of this, an English one, in decent condition. It just doesn't turn up, and when it does, it goes. I mean, on eBay, of course, it goes for over £100. I'm not paying that for it. I got this for 30, which I was pleased with, and it's a nice copy. You've got the pictures of them down there. The last album with Damo on it. This is great, and of course, like I say, the first Can album I ever heard. I know I keep repeating myself here, and that's the first English pressing again. Great album, and it's very mellow, and some parts are very quiet compared to the other 2 albums. It's not the other 2, the other albums. It's a completely different kettle of fish, but it's still great, and you can still hear Can doing their thing on this. So that's awesome. Next up, I've got Limited Edition, which is a comp which came out in '74. Excuse me, and was later issued as Unlimited Edition as a double album in '76, which I don't have. I'd love to get one with bonus tracks. Anyway, this has got a few unreleased tracks with Malcolm Mooney on it. One of them, The Empress and the Ukraine King, which I think is one of the best tracks he did with them. This album's worth it for that track alone. Seriously. Let me play it to you. Using iTunes here, because it's easy. And I'm on the computer. I don't know how well you'll hear this, but this is The Empress and the Ukraine King anyway. And Malcolm Mooney's lyrics were insane. He was American as well. So yeah, English pressing. And this, I got this for like £4, man. So you know, you can still get this fairly cheap. It's just finding it that's the problem. Because the price guide, the record collector price guide, they only book this at like 15 quid. It's worth a lot more than that. It must be. Again, this is one of my favourite Can albums, which actually came out in '82. I don't have anything else in between that. One, because I've only just really got into the other stuff, and also because it's just, can't find them. Delay, 1968. This was the first recording with Malcolm Mooney, or the first out. Well, this was meant to be their first album, but no label would touch it. That is the story. So when they had their own label, Spoon, they put it out in 1982, and I think this is a little bit better than Monster Movie. Shoot me down if I'm wrong, but I just love this. Recorded at Schloss Nürnberg again. This is the original pressing on Spoon, the original German pressing. Very hard to find, and I'm very proud to say I've got one. I'd say this is probably rarer than the other albums, because Spoon was still quite a small label then. Now for them, it's, you know, they do everything on this label, like the whole the surviving members. But this is great. Seriously, you got to check it out. There's like proto-punk stuff going on here. This is a year before Monster Movie, so, and a great cover too. Next up, another one of my favourites, Faust. Let's talk about Faust. I first heard Faust, again, another band I've been reading about in Mojo for years. I read about the first album and I was like, that sounds amazing. So I had it on CD. I bought it on CD. Anyway, yes, Faust did issue their first album on clear vinyl with a clear sleeve and a clear inner sleeve. So, and I've actually got it inside another sleeve. And this is a first pressing on Polydor. So you've got the vinyl there. I'm proud to say I have a very first pressing UK one. And you can see the label is silver, but the print is, it's got embossed print, which you can't see on there. Can you? I don't know, I can't see it. Oh, there you go, the Polydor logo's just at the top there. It's gone again. Anyway, I got this when I was working in Notting Hill record shop. I think I paid 40 for it. Sounds like a lot, but worth it. So you got the Polydor logo in that there. And the inner sleeve, which has got the lyrics on it. Can you even see that now? Yeah, not really. Can if you hold it in front of my face. And that's got the lyrics on it. So yeah, I mean, this is one of my prized albums because it is so rare. And you know what? I think they have now repressed it recently with this, so you can get it. But getting a first pressing on Polydor is very hard. Before I had this one, I actually had the second pressing from '79 that came out over in England on the recommended label. You can get that for about 30 quid, but this, you just don't see it. So this is one of my prized albums right here. Seriously, gold dust. Got the second Faust album so far, where they went for the complete opposite approach and put it in just a plain black sleeve. Again, first pressing on Polydor. And this originally came with, I think, 9 or 10 art prints, and I don't have those. This is just the record. Again, on a plain label with embossed print, which you only see under a certain light. This is the English pressing, again, very rare. I got this for £5, man. So it just goes to show. I think the guy I bought it from thought, well, it doesn't have the prints, it's probably not worth anything. It's still rare, man. And this album's great too. I don't like it as much as the first one, but it's still good. The third album, which they don't really count as a real album, is the Faust tapes, which came out in England on the newly started Virgin in 1973. I don't even know if it came out in Germany. Can you see that crazy design there? This sleeve was by Bridget Riley. Yeah, so this was sort of issued by Virgin on their budget sort of catalogue system, the VC system. And yes, this is on the original black and white Virgin label. This was, I think, the second release on Virgin, really. And what they did is they charged this at the same price as a single, which I think back then was 49p. So it was released as a budget album, and it sold a shitload of copies, but because of the how cheap it was. They couldn't enter it into the charts for some stupid reason. So if this was in the charts, it probably would have got pretty high up there. And this album is probably their most experimental because it is a sound collage of all unreleased bits and bobs from at the time. Not the best introduction because it's hard work, but now on the CD, on the vinyl it's just side 1 and side 2, but on the CD they've actually indexed everything so you can sort of flick through, which makes it a bit easier. No, but this is probably my favourite Faust album, and one of my favourite Krautrock albums, Faust 4, which also was on version 74. This isn't a perfect copy, but this has got the track Krautrock on it, which is where that whole thing came from, really. Well, I think the critics were already calling it Krautrock. The vinyl is mint, but the sleeve is pretty shagged. But I'm proud to say I've got a first pressing of that because people go crazy for it. So yeah, that is my Krautrock collection. Not much there, but, well, not much in terms of how many I've got, but in terms of quality, I'm pretty proud of what I've got there, man. So yeah, again, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to try and maybe post one more video tonight, and then I will probably be, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I don't know when I'm moving, so all I can say, this is Erik the Viking in London. The weather has been horrible all day. It has been raining. It is now dark. My girlfriend is fast asleep on the sofa. I don't know how I've woken her up. Yeah, speak to you all soon. Peace.